Hey, we're out here in the garden today and we are going to plant our tomatoes and our peppers today. It's finally warm enough. Overnight temperatures have been 50s, 60s, so we're getting these in the ground finally. So I'm excited. We're gonna plant eight tomato plants, and I think we have 14 pepper plants that we're gonna plant today. And then we're also going to, within our tomato beds, plant some marigolds. So let's get started. I wanted to show you some of the different varieties of things that we're going to plant hopefully next week. We have 4 San Marzanos. This guy's looking pretty good. I got this guy and some of his other friends at a garden store, like a nursery. I got this guy at one of the big box stores, and he's just not growing. He's kind of sad, kind of wilted, stems are flimsy, so we really up-potted him the other day, buried him deep, and hopefully he does as well as everybody else. But yeah, just got some crispy leaves. It's just kind of looking wimpy, so I'm hoping he does okay. We've also got a Monster Italian paste tomato. It was kind of the last one I bought. Don't know what it is other than a paste tomato, so it was just kind of an impulse buy, and hopefully he'll be cool. Oh, got a bumblebee flying around. And then the last one is we have 4 Romas. These I made the stupid mistake of leaving in their little cell pack, their little 3-cell pack, for way too long. So I just up-potted him the other day. He's kind of tiny, so he's going to be a little bit later than everybody else. Well, all 3 of them, because there were 3 that I didn't pot. So those are my tomatoes. And then we have a bunch of chilies. I don't actually like spicy things, so we have a lot more chilies than probably I would have picked myself, but my boyfriend helped me build this whole garden and put just as much work and money into it, probably actually more work than I did. So he got to choose some peppers, and he wanted a bunch. So we have some jalapenos. We have chocolate habaneros. We had these last year from his brother's garden, and he really liked them. I thought they were too hot. They are sort of demolished a little bit, as you'll see from some of the other plants that we got. And I'll show you the other one that's really not good, is this one. Kind of been chewed on. I don't know if you can see that, it's not in focus. Of all of the pests that I've been researching, all the ways to keep things out of the garden, ways to make everybody happy, the one pest I forgot was the cat. And he got into the sunroom where I was storing all of these, and he chewed on them. He chewed on a bunch of peppers, he chewed on my strawberries, and yeah, hopefully not too detrimental, and those will keep growing. Let's see, so we have anchos. That's another one. We have serranos. We have 3 serranos, 3 jalapenos. I don't know why, honestly. We have 3 red bell peppers, because I actually like sweet peppers rather than hot peppers, so we've got some red bells. We've got poblanos, another one the cat chewed all over. All kinds of leaves off of that. And then we have a holy moly pepper. I love mole when we go to Mexican restaurants. Absolutely love it. So, oh, another one the cat chewed on. I'm gonna see if I could make mole out of this. So that is our pepper selection. What happens when you have never really filmed before and you're trying to film one-handed? Apparently I just threw those over. So that's cool. This gardening thing is going incredibly well so far. So I've already cut off a lot of the bottom stems of this one just to try to get it to grow. This was my San Marzano that really wasn't doing well. He seems to be doing better now. There's a couple suckers in here I'm going to pick off first. But I'm just going to put a little handful of mushroom compost in the very bottom just to give him some food. And I'm going to try to bury this guy as deep as possible. And there we're done with our tomatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and plant some marigolds kind of in between here and on that side, just as a little companion plant, and we'll let these guys go. So we have everything planted, got all of our tomatoes, all of our peppers in, everybody's marked and watered, and now we just let them grow. So as I was planting, I kept hearing this noise behind me, and I look back, and there's all these little wood shavings all the way up. Somewhere in here, there is somebody drilling a hole in my enclosure. All right. So I mentioned before that we didn't have a garden growing up because we were not garden people, and I think I also mentioned that we were just not fresh food people.
And that's really one of the reasons that I kind of wanted to grow a garden. Growing up, most of what we ate was out of a box or a bag. It was a lot of fast food as we got older, and my mom was working and just didn't want to cook, so she'd stop on the way home and she would pick something up and we would eat fast food. If she did want to cook, it was something that came from processed food in a box. It was Rice-A-Roni, it was Hamburger Helper, it was the rare times we made pizza. It was Chef Boyardee pizza dough that we threw unflavored tomato sauce on. It was not a big production for meals for us, and it was not a lot of nutritious stuff. We were the house that my friends would come over to and be super excited because our entire pantry was stocked with Little Debbie's and Coke. Like, we were the junk food house. And for my teenage years, which was great, I had teenage metabolism, but I never learned how to eat properly, and that obviously has caught up with me as an adult. I still have a lot of food avoidance issues. It actually was really hard for me to figure out what to grow in the garden because I don't like vegetables. And that stems from my mom. Growing up, when she was young, she grew up in the 50s. So her parents were children of the Depression, and you didn't waste things with them. That's just unheard of. You ate all of your food because you were lucky to have it. So my mom, as a child, it was instilled within their family that you don't get up from the table until you've cleaned your plate. And my mom hated vegetables, like loathed them, would not eat them, pushed them around her plate, never touched them. And she wasn't allowed to get up until she ate them, which as a child is slightly traumatic when you don't like something and you're being forced to eat it, and being essentially punished because you're not. Luckily for her, my aunt also had a similar issue. She doesn't like meat and still really doesn't to this day. She was very much a fresh gardener person. Like, she would eat vegetables and grew vegetables. Just huge garden. So she's the vegetable person. My mom was not. So they would wait it out until my grandpa essentially gave up and got up from the table because he was tired of waiting on them. And then once the coast was clear, they would switch plates. My aunt would eat my mom's vegetables and my mom would eat my aunt's meat, and then they could get up from the table. Great plan. Except as an adult, my mom still loathed vegetables. So having a family of her own, remembering essentially the trauma of having to sit there and being forced to eat, she made the decision, I'm never going to force my children to clean their plate. I'm never going to force them to eat something they don't want to eat. If they don't want to eat it, that's fine. Also, throw in the fact that she didn't really cook. Didn't cook well when she did. And she never liked vegetables, so she didn't have them in anything. So we didn't really eat a lot of vegetables. A lot of times it would be, if there was, it was canned corn, canned green beans, anything that came from a can. It was very, very, very few fresh things. And I, as a child, had a lot of issues with food textures and temperatures. I did not like hot food, like temperature hot. It would have to be cool to room temperature before I would touch it. I wouldn't eat it because it was too hot for me and it was burning my mouth. So I thought, I don't know. But I would leave it till room temperature and then I would be fine. And the same thing for cold stuff. Like they would give me a bowl of ice cream and I would stir it around until it melted and I would drink it as like a milkshake instead of actually eating it. And that's true to this day too. Like I don't like cold things, it hurts my teeth. I also lactose sensitive, so I can't really have ice cream now anyway, but yeah, growing up wasn't forced to eat vegetables, wasn't even really offered vegetables. I have texture issues. I have a lot of things to unpack in my food relationships that really stem from childhood, really stem from things that I need to work on for myself. I'm a super picky eater, like really picky. I'm getting a little better. There's things that I can handle now that I would have never touched before, like onions. Yeah, but obviously I know that there's things that I need to work on because it's ridiculous. And it's annoying, and I'm not a pleasant person to have food with. So this is kind of, for me, maybe a way to, I don't know, like you do with children, where if they're involved in it, you know, if they're actually preparing it themselves, if they've grown it and kind of nurtured it, maybe they're more likely to actually eat it. So I did try to pick things that I knew that I was going to use, like my paste tomatoes. I know that I would use those rather than like a beef steak. And then things like carrots I'm going to use in cooking. It's really it for me. Some of the other stuff was actually because he put so much effort into it. It's a shared garden. I want to grow things for my boyfriend too, like broccoli and spinach and things that he would eat. And he picked out things like peas and cucumbers that he wants. So it is kind of a shared thing, but I tried to do more things that I knew that I could use, just to kind of get that experience. But then hopefully in that process, finding this love of gardening, hopefully, and finding some success in it, that I can kind of expand and I can kind of work on my food issues of maybe getting a little bit more healthy, fresh foods in my diet, because that still is something other than like fruit. Love fruit, but I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I eat corn and potatoes, so, which I'm growing too, so I'm excited about those. But yeah, those don't really count as vegetables. Those are starches, because I do love carbs. Yeah, so I'm really hoping that this can help me, more than just like being therapeutic, and getting me outside and sort of giving me something to be excited about, actually like having hopefully more of a health impact on my life too, because definitely need it. Just knowing sort of family histories of certain things and how I'm heading down that path, with some of the doctor's appointments that I've had and the blood tests that have come back that say like I'm borderline pre-diabetic. Definitely need to work on some stuff. So maybe maybe this is it. Maybe it's not. We'll find out.